AIDA for starting my wedding on time and not waiting for my parents? All right, Reddit, I need to vent and get some outside perspective because I'm still reeling from what happened at my wedding this past Saturday, and my parents and I are barely speaking. I know weddings are always a hot mess of emotions, and I'm trying to figure out if I was the jerk here or if I was just doing what made sense in the moment. For context, I'm 29F, my husband is 30M, and we've been together for 6 years, engaged for one. My parents are in their late 50s, and while we've had our ups and downs, I didn't expect this to blow up the way it did. So, here's the full story. Buckle up, it's a long one. Let's start with some background, because I think it matters. Growing up, my parents were always the "we'll get there when we get there" types. Like, they'd show up 20 minutes late to my school plays, parent-teacher conferences, even family dinners at my grandma's house. It wasn't malicious, just their vibe. They'd get distracted, lose track of time, or underestimate traffic. My dad's the king of, "Oh, it's only a 15-minute drive," when it's clearly 30 with traffic. My mom's not much better. She'll spend an hour deciding which earrings to wear while dad's pacing by the door. As a kid, I just dealt with it, but as an adult, it's driven me up the wall. I'm the opposite. I'm obsessively punctual. If I'm not 5 minutes early, I'm stressed. My husband's the same way, which is probably why we clicked so well from the start. Fast forward to planning our wedding. We got engaged last summer, and we decided to pay for the whole thing ourselves. No shade to anyone who gets help from family, but we didn't want strings attached, and honestly, my parents aren't exactly rolling in dough. They offered to chip in a little, but we politely declined because we knew it'd come with opinions about the guest list or the menu. The wedding wasn't extravagant, but it wasn't cheap either. We booked this gorgeous outdoor venue with a vineyard vibe. Think string lights, wooden tables, rolling hills in the background. It was our dream spot, but it came with a catch: a strict 4-hour window for the ceremony and reception. The venue was in high demand, and they had another event booked right after ours. So we had to stick to the schedule or risk losing our deposit or getting charged extra. We're talking thousands of dollars extra, which we absolutely couldn't afford. From the moment we sent out save the dates, we made it crystal clear that the ceremony would start at 4 p.m. sharp. The invites said it in big, bold letters. Ceremony begins promptly at 4 p.m. We even included a little note about arriving early because parking could be tricky with the venue's gravel lot. I told my parents directly, multiple times, in person and over the phone. I'd say stuff like, "Mom, Dad, please don't be late. We can't push the start time because of the venue rules." They'd laugh it off like, "Oh, don't worry, we'll be there." I should have known that was a red flag, but I was too busy stressing about centerpieces and RSVPs to push harder. The week before the wedding was chaos. I was juggling last-minute vendor confirmations, seating charts, and a minor meltdown over my dress alterations. The seamstress forgot to hem one side, but that's a whole other story. My parents kept texting me about random stuff, like what color tie my dad should wear and whether they could bring their famous potato salad to the reception. No, we had a plate of dinner. I was annoyed but brushed it off because I figured they were just excited. 2 days before the wedding, I called to confirm they knew the plan. My mom answered their landline. Yes, they still only have a landline. No cell phones, which is its own headache. And I went over everything again. Ceremony's at 4 o'clock. Please get there by 3:30 at the latest so we're not rushing. She said, "Got it, sweetie. We'll be there with bells on." I felt reassured. Big mistake. Wedding day rolls around, and I'm a bundle of nerves but also so excited. My bridesmaids are amazing, keeping me calm with mimosas and bad dance moves while we get ready. My husband's across the venue with his groomsmen, probably playing cornhole or something. Everything's going smoothly. Hair and makeup are done. The photographer's snapping candids. The florist delivered the bouquets on time. Around 3 o'clock, I start checking in with our wedding coordinator, Jenna, who's a total pro. She tells me guests are arriving, the officiant's ready, and the string quartet is setting up. I ask about my parents, and she says she hasn't seen them yet, but we'll keep an eye out. No big deal, I think they've got half an hour. By 3:30, I'm starting to get antsy. Most of our 80 guests are seated, chatting, and taking selfies with the vineyard backdrop. My husband comes over to check on me, and I ask if he's heard from my parents. He hasn't, so we both try calling their landline. No answer, obviously, because they're supposed to be on their way. I'm pacing in my dress at this point, trying not to smudge my makeup. My maid of honor, Sarah, is like they'll show up. They're probably just stuck in traffic. I'm not convinced, but I try to focus on the fact that I'm about to marry the love of my life. 3:45 hits, and still no sign of them. Jenna comes over and gently asks if we want to hold off starting. I'm fuming now, not just because they're late, but because they didn't even bother to call the venue or ask a friend to pass along a message. I know they don't have cell phones, but there are gas stations, payphones, something. My husband's trying to stay calm, but I can tell he's annoyed too. He says, "Babe, it's your call." I'm good either way. I'm torn. On one hand, I want my parents there. It's my wedding, and even though they drive me nuts, I love them. On the other hand, we got 80 people sitting in the sun. The venue's clock is ticking, and we can't afford to go over time. Plus, I'm hurt. Like, how do you not prioritize your only daughter's wedding? At 4 o'clock, Jenna checks in again. The quartet's ready, the officiant's looking at his watch, and the guests are starting to whisper. I'm done. I tell Jenna, let's start. She nods, gives me a quick hug, and signals the musicians. My husband and I walk down the aisle together. We skip the traditional giving away thing because it felt weird, and the ceremony begins. It's beautiful. Our vows make everyone cry. The officiant's speech is perfect, and we're pronounced husband and wife by 4:20. I'm over the moon, but in the back of my mind, I'm still pissed about my parents. We head to the reception area for cocktail hour, and that's when I see them. My parents are standing near the bar, looking frazzled and a little out of place. My mom's in a floral dress that's slightly wrinkled, and my dad's tie is crooked. I walk over, trying to keep my cool, and say, "Where are you guys?" My mom starts tearing up, and my dad explains they got rear-ended at a traffic light about 20 minutes from the venue. It wasn't a bad accident. No one was hurt, just some bumper damage, but they had to wait for the police, exchange insurance info, and deal with the other driver, who was apparently freaking out. Since they don't have cell phones, they couldn't call me or the venue. They say they left early, by their standards, probably 10 minutes before they needed to, but the accident delayed them just enough to miss the ceremony. I'm conflicted. On one hand, I feel bad. I didn't mean to miss it, and accidents happen. On the other hand, I'm like, why didn't you leave an hour early? Why don't you have a cell phone like normal people in 2025? Why is it always something with you? I don't say all that, but I'm sure my face says it for me. My mom's crying now, saying how heartbroken she is that she missed me walking down the aisle. My dad's quieter, but clearly upset, muttering about how we could have waited 15 minutes. I snap back. We couldn't wait. The venue had a strict schedule, and we called you a million times. It's not my finest moment, but I'm raw from the stress of the day. The rest of the reception is awkward. My parents stick around, but there's this weird tension. They try to act normal, dancing and chatting with relatives, but I catch my mom wiping her eyes a few times. My dad keeps giving me these disappointed looks, like I'm the one who let them down. Some of our guests must have overheard the argument, because I get a few "everything okay?" questions from cousins and friends. I just smile and say, yeah, just family stuff, but inside I'm spiraling. My husband's supportive, telling me we did the right thing, but I can't shake the guilt. Like, what if I'd waited just a little longer? Would 15 minutes have killed us? The next day, I call my parents to clear the air. Big mistake. My mom picks up, and before I can say much, she launches into how hurt they are. She says they've been looking forward to my wedding for years, and I robbed them of seeing their only child get married. My dad gets on the line and says they raised me better than to be so selfish and inflexible. I try to explain the venue situation and how we had no way of knowing what happened, but they're not having it. They keep circling back to how I should have known they'd never miss it on purpose and waited out of respect. I point out that their chronic lateness didn't exactly inspire confidence, and that's when things get ugly. My mom says I'm ungrateful for everything they've done for me, and my dad says I'm acting like they're disposable. I hang up because I'm crying and don't want to say something I'll regret. It's been a few days, and we're at a stalemate. I texted them yesterday to say I'm sorry they missed the ceremony, but that I didn't know what else to do. They haven't responded. My husband thinks they're being dramatic and that we're in the clear, but my best friend Sarah thinks I could have handled it better, like maybe sending someone to check on them or delaying just a tad. I don't know. I feel like I was being practical, but maybe I was too harsh. I keep replaying it, wondering if I could have done something different without screwing over our guests or the venue. So, Reddit, aita for starting my wedding on time and not waiting for my parents. I know they got in an accident, but I didn't know that at the time, and their track record isn't great. I'm torn between feeling justified and feeling like a terrible daughter. What do you think?